Hey there, and welcome to Comedians on Technology, People and Drugs. I'm your host, Sam Joseph, and today we're very lucky to have comedian Lizzie Simpson with us. Hey, Lizzie, it's really great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for sharing your time.
Hi, thank you for having me. Hi.
Oh, pleasure. Oh, pleasure. And you're a very funny person, and I'm sure. I think we've established we've only got one listener, who this week I shall call Claire, and because it's very important to talk to that one listener. And I
Yeah.
think Claire is beside herself, wanting to understand your comedy origin story. Was it that you were assembled by a genius inventor and placed on board a giant starship in the 23rd century, and you've somehow come back through a
Mm,
time traveling wormhole to spread comedy joy? How did it all kick off?
yeah, I've heard this rumor. It's not true, unfortunately. Um, I think I got into comedy. There's two mindsets I have, which is the way that I was born and the family I was born into, and how that influenced my comedy, but also then how I actually started doing it. So I'll start from the day I was born. Um, no, I have five siblings, and that was a big influence on me and how I grew up because I learned I am the youngest
Oh
of
wow.
six kids. And when you are the youngest of six kids, you are prone to being the one who is the butt of the joke and teased a lot.
Mm.
Which I don't hold a lot of resentment to my siblings for. I understand it if I was in their position. I would probably do the same thing.
Mm.
But I learned very quickly in my childhood that there was more power in the dynamic with me and my siblings if I played into the joke or I was yeah I if I how do I put this, if I had agency
Mm.
in the joke, if I made myself the butt of the joke rather than it being them. um and as I got older, I for the first 20 years of my life I wasn't the most gracious at being the butt of the joke, but eventually I learned how to be the butt of the joke. um and then yeah, my siblings. Sorry, I thought I was going to articulate this really well, and now I'm like I've repeated myself quite a lot.
I mean, you've great start. I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat. Youngest of six. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
like it's. I mean, tell us more.
Yeah. So as I got older, I learned really that there was power in like making big groups of people laugh. It's one of the best ways to get attention, especially as a kid. Um when you are competing with five other people. And then in school, um, it was just one of my superpowers slightly, that I was a kid that I was very quiet most of the time, 99% of the time, and then would occasionally say something funny quite quietly. Um, I'm actually grateful to the person who would repeat whatever I said because
Mm.
often they did credit me.
Mm.
They said, "Did you just say whatever ridiculous thing I'd said as a 8-year-old?" Um, so yeah, I grew up having small, close groups of friends who I could make laugh. And I preferred that. I preferred kind of having my own audience. I grew up with an audience, is basically what I'm saying. But when I was in school, I would watch a lot of comedy. I watched a lot of I was a big fan of Mighty Boosh when I was 10
Mm.
because I had a crush on Noel Fielding, which he was 33 at the time. And it was a strange point in my life. But I would watch a lot of DVD commentaries of um it was things like Mighty Boosh, Black Books, American Dad. I had like three box sets of. And that's when I would hear about people talking about writing comedy and the process of writing comedy. And I thought that sounds really cool. That would be an amazing job to have. But, I was a kid at a state school in Milton Keynes. No one, my my brothers and sisters all did very creative things. They were mostly musicians, and my brother attempted to work in the industries, but uh wasn't as successful. And I just kind of thought, oh, okay, this is a complete pipe dream. So when I was in university, I thought, well, this is my one opportunity to be creative and connect with people.
Oh.
And so I joined the Lincoln Comedy Society when I was 20.
Mm.
Um, I just wanted to write. I didn't want to perform stand up. That wasn't on my, I enjoyed things like improv and I enjoyed stand up, but I didn't think that was something I would ever be brave enough or capable enough of doing. I just wanted to write. But when I went there, there was there were so few women.
Right.
There was a big group of boys, lovely boys, boys that embraced, well, most of them are lovely, but uh, boys that embraced me and were interested to hear my perspectives and were very encouraging. And when I watched them do stand up, this is going to sound really mean to them, but it is the truth. I watched them do stand up and I thought, okay, it's okay if you're not good at this. You're still allowed to do it, even if you're not good at it. Some of them were quite good, but most of them were quite amateur because it was a student comedy night made by people who'd been going a year
Sure.
max, or a couple of years max. So, in hindsight, uh, yeah, I feel a bit mean, but that was the truth that I realized, oh, you don't have to be good at stand-up straight away. Or you don't have to be good at comedy straight away.
Hmm.
You could fail at it. So I ended up getting really into stand-up. Um, I got better quite gradually. That was mostly because I couldn't quite get when you I am always jealous of people whose first experiences of stand-up are in London or a major city because there are just so many options. You can
Hmm.
do courses, you can yeah, you've got and yes, there can be bringers and bringers can be annoying, but you just have so many options um to what's the word? Refine your craft, uh to write better, to get better. And for me, it was a much slower process because I just graduated. I didn't have a job. Um,
Mm.
I moved back home. Well, I moved to Bournemouth to
Hmm.
do a master's degree, and I definitely refined my writing, and I had more lived experiences in Bournemouth, which massively improved my comedy. It weirdly, you do have to live some life to actually be able to make
Hmm.
jokes about it.
Mm.
Um, and then when I graduated, I started to do the odd open mic in London. I was probably better than I give myself credit for. But I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, I was definitely in the amateur hour there. Um,
We've all got to start somewhere. I think,
yeah, exactly. And people
and
were very
like,
encouraging.
yeah, I definitely, I mean,
Yeah.
I think we were both gigging
Yes.
four or so. I mean, we were each other's bringers.
Yes.
We did a
The,
bringer swap, and I think we were both, similarly just
what
starting out, and
just started out.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly. And when I met you was when I actually, so this was before the pandemic. I was doing the odd open mic.
right.
I couldn't go that often because I lived in Milton Keynes. It was quite expensive. I didn't have an income. Um, and then the pandemic happened,
Mm,
and I was like, well, this was a pipe dream anyway, so what's the point of trying to pursue it while it's not happening?
mm,
Um, and then in 2022, um, some more life stuff happened that kind of kicked me into gear, made me go, do you want this? Do you want to start pursuing comedy seriously? And I got a job in London, so that massively I ended up moving to London, working in London, becoming a part of the scene, and that's when we met. And so
mm,
yes, I was very much still in my early stages
mm.
at that point. I don't
As
consider
was I.
myself.
As was I.
Yeah,
We were both there together in our early stages. Yes.
yeah, yeah. So I had this background of like having some insight into the scene, but nowhere near as much. I hadn't encountered can I name names?
Absolutely, if you want to. I mean, I mean, you mean particular venues or
Convicting nights and venues. Yeah, I hadn't
yeah.
encountered, G&B comedy. I didn't know much about like gong shows or anything like
Right,
that.
right, right.
Um, by that point. So
Mm,
while I had a little bit of a base, a bit of a foundation, I didn't have I consider that as my real like when I started.
right, right, right.
And yeah, and then a lot has happened since then.
Yeah, well, which I would love to hear about. Although I guess we can. Well, I'm I've accidentally got drawn into another debate about bringers on Facebook today. So
Oh yes, I saw. And I'm with you. I think it's not that I understand people's frustration with bringers. I
yeah,
just don't I find the incessant whining on Facebook quite annoying.
It is well, we can maybe touch on that. I have this
Yeah,
plan now of sort of a bring a sandwich where where one we jump back to we go back through some of the things that you've been saying, and then we kind of like
yeah,
attack bringers, and then we or not or anti-attack them,
yeah.
and then we go on for like the afterwards stuff. But I'm really interested. You know, you were describing, I guess, the experience at university, and
Mhm.
it sounds like that the first time that you would have got up on stage and actually done some stand up was with this kind of university comedy group.
Yes,
Is that right? And
yes.
what was the name of the university comedy group? Did it have a particular? It
It
was
was just the Lincoln Comedy Society. So I
right,
went to the University of Lincoln.
right.
Um,
Yep, I've even written that down and been
yeah,
unable to read my handwriting. No, Lincoln Core. I mean, I'm just, because as often spoken about on this podcast, like I did a lot of theatre in university,
yeah,
and then I went to, first in Leicester, and then I went to Edinburgh, and I was like really doing the theatre, and I had no real, I kind of like sense of comedy, or I didn't even know
yeah.
that improv existed, and they had like an improv group at the university, and I wish I could go back to myself when I was starting in theatre and go, stand up
Yeah.
because I was like, because I wasted so much time. I don't know. Maybe I learned some things
Yeah.
rehearsing, but it's like it was so much more fun and free and whatever with the improv. And I kind of did a bit of improv with those folks. But yeah, there was
Yeah.
no. I never encountered in any of the this is a long time ago comedy societies. It sounds wonderful, and I presume
Yeah.
were you kind of like meeting monthly and doing a little show together? Or to tell me more about what the Lincoln Comedy Society did.
The shows were monthly, but we met weekly.
Right,
And it mostly was an excuse to we'd have one meeting that lasted maybe like 45 minutes, and then we go to Spoons for 3 hours.
right.
Um, but it was so the very first time I did some stand up was not on stage. It was in a basically one of these meetings. So it
Right.
was kind of like a workshop, and I was looking for permission to be like, you should try this on stage.
Mm, hmm.
And I did. I got that permission. And then when I went on stage for the first time, I did what I never do now, which is go massively over. And I'm still to this day incredibly embarrassed about that moment. But now, when I look about it, it wasn't a high stakes gig. It was a student comedy society. Nobody there had any power. But now everything I know, all the like etiquette of comedy, I'm like, oh, that's so embarrassing. Um,
Oh, I hear you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And interesting. And I guess when you joined it, like there were people from multiple years of the university. So there were some
yeah,
people who'd like been doing it for a bit longer, and there was sort of like a collection of new folks who were like, "Oh, what's
yeah,
this all about?" And then so you sort of meet weekly, and there'd be sort of some discussion of like comedy theory or this, that, and the other. It's interesting you talk about like in that context of needing permission. I mean, I guess there was like a monthly show, and so part of the weekly meetings were about organizing who was going to be in that show.
yeah.
Is that what was happening?
Yeah, that was a very small part of it.
Yeah.
Most of the comedy meetings were about I've got an idea, uh, let's explore it, or let's play this improv game to try and kind of loosen up and get writing. We did Aristocrats
Right.
one time. I was not
Yeah.
very good at that.
Uh,
Um, it's very like in hindsight, I'm like it's so very nerdy and something that only I mean, it's funny because I got very close to the one other. There were two other women. Well, there were two other women. One who now is not a woman. They identify as non-binary. But at
sure.
the time, there were three of us female presenting.
Hmm.
Um,
Non-males, shall we say? So we say.
yeah, and uh, we kind of would group together.
Sure.
Because there was this fear. It was funny because I was in the feminism society as
Oh.
well,
Hmm.
and the feminism society could be a punching bag a bit in the university.
Hmm.
But well, and but I think what they learned when I came into the when I came into the picture was they were like, oh no, they're just like it's just a political ideology, um and part of that for me was doing something that I thought I'd be good at, well, comedy.
Right, right. Were you saying there? Well, I mean, one thing on. I mean, I thought we just solved the whole feminism thing in the '80s, and I was still
Yes, of
surprised that it's
course.
even an issue. And my mother was a radical feminist, and
Yeah.
anyway, that explains a lot of me. But were you? And just I was. I'm not questioning. I was unclear. You were sort of introducing feminism as an ideology or to the Lincoln Comedy Society? Were you sort of saying that as a, I guess you're saying it could be the butt of jokes in the university,
Yeah.
and part of you going to the Lincoln Comedy Society. Oh, and actually, I happen to be a feminist, and that was you were sort of there was something happening there. You felt as a result of you being involved. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I wouldn't say like, oh, I was introducing the idea of feminism to them because they were actually quite decent lads. They weren't, I wouldn't say too many of them were very ignorant. Like they were just men in their early 20s
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
18 year olds.
Young people, young
They
people.
were
Yeah.
young people. And there was some, I don't know. I This was 10 years ago and the landscape was very different 10 years ago. Feminism was starting to become more mainstream, but it
Mm,
was kind of in its earliest stages. And also, like, I
mm,
think so much has happened since then, um, ab around the discourse. And this is why we get waves of feminism, because there are ideas that at the time are quite radical, and then
mm,
they get normalized, and then we think over them and we're like, oh, actually, we should that this is more nuanced or more complex. And I was a baby. I was 20 years old in the feminism
mm.
society. So the extent of my feminism at the time was um I definitely understood my own experiences most, so I was concerned
Right.
about things like sexual assault on like it can be a big problem on university,
Indeed.
and misogyny in like clubs and
Mm.
general things. But maybe I didn't have the biggest idea of like the outside world. Um,
Sure.
uh, but what I guess I'm saying is at the time I brought these quite basic but still solid ideas to,
Yeah.
and I helped kind of, I think I did help kind of normalize them a bit with a big group of lads.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, I think definitely, I mean, one you were mentioning is sort of all very the Lincoln Comedy Society has been
yeah.
all very nerdy. For me, it's like lovely. My heart is warming the cockles of my heart to hear that such comedy societies exist, and I think it's great for
Yes.
young people and indeed old people to get together and do silly comedy things. I mean, I think that's a beautiful thing. And then
Yeah.
I think there is always a danger with groups of lads or men at any age that
Yeah.
if it's all men, then there's a danger that it goes a certain way. And I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate of diversity of many kinds, and yeah, I think that's absolutely fantastic that you were a member of both of these two societies, and I think that's, that they both
Yeah.
will have got great value from you being involved. So that's
Yeah.
fantastic. And um, I guess what I'm interested there is, so was there like when you, I guess, joining the society, you mentioned that you had originally been thinking it more about it of writing, not necessarily performing, or I mean, and I guess it was sort of, the pitch of the Lincoln Comedy Society was not come and you will become a famous stand-up
Yeah.
comedian. It's more like, oh, we like comedy. Sometimes we put on shows. If you're interested in writing, performing, just talking about comedy, come and hang out with us. And then, there wasn't any particular strong agenda that it would be like, right, by meeting six, you will have performed, in front of eight people or anything like that.
Yeah, no, that wasn't what generally the society that was like. That was a lot more relaxed. It's like understanding. I will say though, there were individuals,
Uh-huh.
and I was also one of them,
Uh-huh.
um, who were very driven, who
Okay.
actually were there because they were like, no, I really want to refine my writing. I want to be really good at stand up. I want to
Mm.
do well in competitions. So one of the big things at Lincoln, us as a society, which was
Mm.
both kind of, I don't know, it kind of brought it into perspective for a lot of us. They invited Chortle
Oh yeah.
to do the Student Comedy Awards
Right.
at Lincoln,
Mm.
which meant people from the Lincoln Comedy Society could very easily
Mm.
do their sets there.
Mm.
And I did my first Chortle attempts at Lincoln. But it also opened it was the whole northern. So Lincoln became where the northern comedians
Ah,
came to do their Chortle student comedy
wow.
heat. And the very first one I did, um I it was only my fourth time doing stand-up. I was really a baby.
Wow.
Um, Laura Lex casually was emceeing that night, and now I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I saw Laura Lex in Lincoln Comedy Society. Um, but the and on the night, um, we felt like we brought this like strong contingent of local comedians and that we were it was going to shine a light on us, but then quite an established act got through on the night, and in
Mm,
hindsight I'm like, yeah. Yeah, of course he did. uh Now that I know everything about how the industry works.
right.
But at the time I feel a lot of us felt it really quite strongly. We felt dejected. We felt like, oh, we're not good enough. Um,
Mm,
and the story has changed for me since then, because a year later, I was at Bournemouth, so I decided, oh well, I'm still in uni technically, and I've been doing comedy a whole year. Let's give it another go. I'd been doing comedy a whole year. If
yeah.
I'm putting that in quotation marks,
Yeah.
I had been thinking in a comedy brain for a
Mm,
year. I wouldn't say I was seasoned, but I was definitely better than I was
mm,
when I first tried that. I did my heat in Southampton,
mm-hmm.
and I got through.
Mm,
I and so it kind of then I realized, oh, this is actually about like um doing it sustainably, yeah, consistently.
right.
Um, but yeah, there was in Lincoln there was a weirdly high amount of quite ambitious people who did put a lot of work into comedy. Some of them went to Edinburgh.
Mhm.
Some of them, like, are quite young, like like did their own show. Um, and some of them have like a lot. Is actually a quite a good roster of people who were in the society who are doing quite well now. Um,
Great.
David Anthony uh compares a lot, and he was there.
Mm,
Um, I'll count myself
yeah.
as
I
someone
certainly
who's
would.
doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Um, Lily Webb was never technically in the society, but I am counting them on the grounds that I also
Go for it. Yeah.
they went
Inclusivity.
to meetings.
Yeah. 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 This. Well. I mean. I'm so excited to be delving into all of this, and just the total thing. When you say an established act got through, I guess that was somebody who was like a mature student or someone who just was a student that happened to have been doing like regular shows for like 3 years, and so they just were able to, they were operating at a different level
Yeah,
compared to the.
it's someone who's had success in the comedy competition circuit as well. Like they
Right,
um and so yeah, now in hindsight, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, of course.
right. But
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and
they
I'm really interested in what you're saying there as well about the sort of core of people in the Lincoln Comedy Society who were, quite ambitious, and you included yourself in that, and you were saying, particularly about your writing. So you were going into it, and like I think
mm,
you said,
yeah,
this was like, okay, this is my opportunity to do something creative. I want to do something creative. I'm going to do it. So you were taking the writing quite seriously, but like you also said that, at the beginning you weren't thinking necessarily that you were going to do much stand up. Like I think
yeah.
and I sort of maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but I think you were perhaps imagining, right, I'll become a really good as a writer and I'll write for other people. Is that what you were thinking, or what?
Yeah, kind of maybe at the very beginning, and then it just very quickly switched. I very quickly got kind of like, oh no, I think I'm good enough to do stand up, and I'm as good. Um,
Right, and then I
I
remember you guys, of course, you said like some of these other young guys doing it, and you were like, okay, if you, I mean, this is the experience that so many people
yeah,
have going to an open mic night is, oh, actually, I could probably have a go at doing
yeah,
that if
yeah,
that's how many
yeah,
people are doing it, right? And so, but so then having had that idea, I'm just, forgive me if I'm laboring the point. I'm really interested in that first time of performing, like you
yes,
had that thought, oh right, I could do it. And then this is the point, I think, for many people, that first getting up, and of course it was a much, sounds like for you, that very first time in, like, whatever, some like student meeting room, and there's no stage, and you're sort of saying, right, can I
yeah,
do this? And they're saying, oh yeah, you can do this. Was, I guess, there, it wasn't a big nerve-wracking experience. I mean, and I
no,
guess like there were then have been, like the first time that you did the show, and then there was the tour. Was there a point at which you were kind of like really nervous going into, or had other intense emotions going into performing, or was effectively from the start of the Lincoln Comedy Society, these were all relatively even steps, but it wasn't a big jumping out of a plane moment for you particularly?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely correct. I think I never did have that big, like, oh my God, I'm performing.
Mm.
When I was ver doing my very first steps, even all the way up to when I was performing in front of Steve Bennett.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
which I at the time I was completely ignorant of what that even meant. Um
Sure.
or like yeah. But yeah, I guess I had a really nice transition from writing to performing to having this safe space where people did um nurture. I
Yeah.
really did. I really did get nurtured, which is why I for a time I would judge people a lot for doing things like comedy courses,
Mm.
um, because I felt like, oh no, it's not something you can be taught. It's something you learn on the job. And then when I think about it, I basically got a free comedy course. I basically, well, £5 if you count the membership fee
There you
of
go.
the
There you go.
Comedy
There you go.
Society. But yeah, I basically got that kind of space.
Yes.
Um, of people who were my age as well or around my age. So all the references were stuff that like they had no issue knowing about or um and I was able to really refine my voice. There were people I did get I will say though I did get some critical feedback at the time that maybe I wasn't as open to back then
Hmm.
because I was still finding my voice
Mm.
uh but actually probably set me up more for the future when
Hmm.
yeah when you're doing gigs you are
Hmm.
going to get feedback of
Hmm.
like people who don't like what you're doing
Mm.
or don't mesh with it or think you can do better.
Yeah, usually most of my audience is very much of that.
Yeah.
um, if only I was joking. No, some of them like I don't know. There's this thing where the two or three people who are really look like they're not having a good time, you're focusing on
Yeah.
them for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh,
All the
I
other
do it
people we,
too,
we
yeah.
don't care. Yeah, good God.
I'm desperate to get them. And it's like, why?
I'm going to tickle you. No, that's not allowed. I have a restraining order now. No, so I know, amazing. And so then, and well, what a wonderful, you know,
Mm,
gradual up trajectory. I guess there's then like often for many other people that we've spoken to, and also for myself, people who did comedy courses, and we all had
mm.
a showcase, which was usually lovely. And
Yeah,
then there was like the next step, which was going and doing an open mic in London,
yeah,
with just like random people. And,
yeah,
and like
yeah,
you've no idea, and so was that then did that because obviously you did that you mentioned even before COVID doing a few gigs in London,
yeah.
was that a big step with lots of nerves, or did it also just seem like a sort of a gradual transition?
Yes, that was a big step with a big nerves, especially because the very first gig I ever did in London was Angel Comedy.
Ah,
Because I had no idea that that was one of the biggest gigs that
right,
you
right.
could at the time get.
Mm-hmm.
It was when it was slightly still more open. I think on the
Mm.
night I did, there was 15 acts. Like it was quite a lot of
Okay.
acts on. I remember, sorry, I feel like I'm name dropping, but this is true.
No, it's fine. Oh,
Um,
please tell us.
the very first act on was Abigail Schulman just
Oh,
trying
right.
new stuff.
Wow.
And like
Right.
she left the building, she left. She didn't like stick around.
Right, right.
But she was clearly like, right, I'm gonna open the show and then
Yeah,
fuck
yeah,
off.
yeah, yeah.
So and then the rest of us were kind of open micers or people
Yeah,
who'd
yeah.
been on the scene a bit. And I had just emailed them going, I'm 21. I did a bit of comedy
Yeah.
in
Why not?
uni. I can come down to London. And they were like, yeah, okay, you get a 5 minute spot. I brought most of my siblings,
Wow.
including my very pregnant sister. So
Mm.
my nephew got a taste of my comedy as well, technically. Um,
In the womb,
and
indeed.
in the womb, he was exposed to my
Prenatal.
comedy.
Indeed.
Um, and it's just I look back on this time. This must have been this was before my master's degree, yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so I went on like this show with all these high with loads of people in the room, my siblings as well. And I was like, I guess this is where it starts. And I remember on the day thinking, "Oh, I want to try new stuff because I haven't done new stuff." And it was like, "No, Lizzie, this is this is
Mm.
your first step. Do what you know is a solid five." And I went and did it, and I absolutely smashed.
Ah.
And it was great. It was the greatest feeling in the world. Like,
Mm.
and I stood out. And I remember I was like 21, so I made a joke about how I didn't remember 9/11,
Mm.
and and like showing off that I was young, which now I look
Yeah.
back at myself and I'm like, that was funny, but I'm also like, damn you.
I can't do
If
that
I,
anymore. But yes,
yeah, I can't
you're
do that.
come on, look at the grey hair that I've had surgically implanted to make myself look older.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, of course. Um, but yeah, I had this really wonderful o first London open mic experience that was, beyond my wildest dreams. And I had like the MC talk about how like, oh, this is what comedy's all about, is like bringing on these new people and not knowing if
Mm.
they're gonna, and then absolutely smashing it. And that felt great. So then when I went and did an open mic and I didn't have
Right.
that experience, I'm like, oh, okay, actually, this takes work. And it takes a lot of work. And then I got into the bringer system as well. Then at the time, I was relying on a couple of friends who lived in London who were from the Lincoln Comedy Society to help me. They were the only people that could like understand the need. And I'm really grateful to them, Ross and Maddie, if you're listening.
Mm.
You got me through the first couple of years. And yeah, I had this really amazing experience doing London open mics, but then I look back and I'm like, I wasn't doing enough, or
Mm.
it wasn't enough to actually gain the momentum that I needed.
Right.
Um,
I. Oh, that's really interesting what you're saying there about momentum is because yeah, what I often like to ask people about is like after having done, you know, that first momentous gig or what have you, and we've already heard about how you're kind of like stepping stones up and up and up. And I mean, all credit to Angel Comedy because I think one of the things that they do is they get a great audience in,
yeah,
and not to detract from you smashing it, which is fantastic. It is so difficult to smash. For an open mic gig with three other comedians and a dog, like it's
yes,
just
yes,
you
absolutely.
haven't got the material, what's the word, the raw, I mean, different
Yeah,
word for comedy material, but the audience orchestra to work with.
yeah,
But so you're talking about momentum there. I guess through the process of doing the Lincoln Comedy Society and the different bits and pieces, and you obviously you were writing and you were doing bits of performing, and it sort of all felt like you were kind of like you were strengthening in your desire to head in that direction. And yeah, like some people I know that they've done a good first one, and they're like, oh, that's fine, and then they go away for 3 months and don't bother, and
yeah,
then some. But it sounds like it was sort of gradually growing. But you're saying looking back, you were maybe doing it like once a week or something, and
not
at the
even
time
that.
that's if that, yeah, and that at the time it seemed like yeah, this is I'm dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun. But now from where you are now, you're kind of looking back at that and thinking, oh, I wasn't quite putting in enough time performing. But is that, can you think back to yourself at that? Was it just like what made you not do it more or at that time?
oh, practical. It was for practical reasons.
Oh, just right. You
It,
you could you couldn't you just couldn't yeah, like
yeah,
life was in the way of actually doing
yeah,
it more frequently. Yeah.
yeah. I didn't have the money. I didn't have a job. I didn't live in London, so every time I had to I wanted to do a gig in London, I had to transport myself.
Got you. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, having judged about the timeline, yes, right. This is before you had
Yeah.
the job in London and you were like
Yes.
masters or post pre masters. You were sort of like
Yes.
in that. Yeah, no,
So yeah, the
that makes
law
perfect
is quite elaborate. I apologize. But
We're
yeah,
getting it
this
all down. I mean, like the film
yeah.
of your life is going to be fantastic, and I think the time travel bits are going to be wonderful.
Yeah,
But so
this
what am I
was
saying? Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess that gives us like a segue. What did you say? Like, so post COVID, you were
yeah.
like, and it was unlike for people like myself who like post COVID who'd like basically done it one time in their when they're early 20s and failed
Yeah.
and thought that's impossible, and like COVID was like a spur to say it's now or never. Let's try and do something with our lives. You
Yeah.
were already on a kind of like I want to be doing this, and just post COVID was now you were living in London, and it's like right, okay, now I could, the thing that you wanted to do, you now could do.
Yes. Yes. And I'd gone through quite I'd gone through a heartbreak,
Uh,
which was kind of did spur. that like, right, okay, I need to find something that I love that
Mm,
can distract me.
right.
And I can be my confident, more authentic self because the heartbreak had taken a quite a big toll on my confidence.
Sure.
And it was a quick way of getting it back
Yeah.
because I had some evidence that I was good at it.
Mm,
I'd been validated and I'd been
yeah.
validated by quite good people. Um,
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that for me, but it'll come eventually. But yeah, yeah. Right, yeah. And go on. I shouldn't have.
yeah.
Go on.
No, I just and then so when 2022 kind of rolled around and I was doing my first couple of gigs in the open mic scene, um I put quite a big weight on myself to be as good as what I perceived myself that I should be.
Ah,
And um I had but I had someone as a bringer.
mm,
Um and she and I wish I remembered her name now because she mentally helped me massively. Um I had she came to a gig, she was a comedian, um Lexi. Lexi
mm.
Manchester.
Ah,
Um
yeah.
uh and I did and she'd been going a little while and I did a set and it went okay, but I was like, oh, I should be better than I am. And she really sat me down and kind of talked, why do you have this expectation of yourself? And I said, well,
Mm,
I've done comedy before. And she's like, but it just sounds like you've had quite a long break that, you've had a lot happen in your life. Like I got into things about my ex and
mm,
she was really sympathetic and really lovely to me and put it so much more into perspective for me. Um, and this is another thing that it's something I work on with my therapist.
mm,
I tend to use other people to as my emotional anchors. I tend to try and find validation or have other people give me permission things, and I'm trying to learn to do that myself. To go,
mm,
actually, no, you're good enough. You can, or you. There's no reason you can't try at something.
mm,
If you really love it or really want to do it. Um, so when that meant that when I started doing the open mics more regular, and you'll know this, some open mics are more hostile than others.
sure.
Um, you're more prone to critical feedback um or a compare who's on a power trip or something.
I can't imagine who you're talking
I
about.
I survived those a lot better because I think I had not just the foundation of before the pandemic, but also just the people I met who were really encouraging, really
Mm,
lovely,
mm,
who met me where I was. And it meant I stopped comparing myself to people who had more momentum,
right,
um, who maybe had like online followings or
right.
um yeah, or just did stand up all the fucking time
Yeah,
and could
yeah.
get better at it.
Mm, mm, mm,
I remember at the time like Sakiza had been going like 5 years
hmm.
when I first started, and now she's like an established comedian on like the Apollo.
Right.
It You're going to encounter all sorts of people
Mm,
as you're going through the process, and some people will gain some momentum because of something, whether
yeah.
that's they win a competition or they go viral,
Hmm.
and it's not great to go, and it can be so hard not to compare yourself.
Yeah,
um
yeah, amen. I'm still struggling with that. Yes.
yeah
So do go on.
yeah, and equally like there are people I definitely think deserve the things they get, and
Right.
yet I will still feel jealous, and
Yeah, me too. Yep. No, no,
massively compare. And
completely.
yeah, and it can be really easy to kind of spiral and get into this place where you all you can think about is your place and how well you're doing or whether you're you know, doing the momentum. But when I
Mm,
first started again after all this time, all I wanted to do was just write again, get on the circuit, get connected with people. And by connections, I mean like friends.
yeah. Yeah.
I think people can definitely characterize networking as like very transactional like
Yeah.
conversations and be like, you scratch my back, I scratch when
Mm,
actually most of my comedy connections are genuine friends who I've like gone to meals with, uh, done projects with because I love working with them and being around them and go to parties with and joke with, and
Mm, mm,
that was what was missing um for me before. I had the community when I was at Lincoln Comedy Society, but
mm.
that split up naturally because we all graduated and moved away and had different lives.
Yeah,
So what was really lovely about getting on the scene in 2022 and getting back into it all was being able to establish myself as part of the comedy community and not just someone who took a vague interest in it.
yeah. Well,
Um,
brilliant. Yeah, it's. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I remember doing the comedy course that I did, and like there was people from most of the people from the comedy course they've all just sort of stopped doing it, and
Yeah.
but I remember going for
Yeah.
meals with and talking about comedy and just thinking, wow, this is the thing. I mean,
Yes.
it's a bit ironic, like now, but like with the full-time job and with kids, I have less, I would, the other night, Ollie Miller we all done a gig and he was
Oh
like,
yeah. I love
oh,
Ollie.
it's great.
Shout out Ollie.
Conjurers, toasters, tigers, alligators. And he was like, oh, let's have something to eat. And it would have been, I mean, it was the same thing actually with Brooke,
Yeah.
last Thursday, we got this new gig, which of course you were there, and just like
Yes.
some
Yeah, that
people are
was
like
fun.
now hanging around afterwards, and thanks. It's just yeah. I'm looking. I will be very sad when my younger children leave home, but I'm also looking forward to having a bit more free time to hang out with comedians.
Yeah.
Well, and potentially this if I'm lucky, this Edinburgh, I'll be sharing a house with some comedians, and
Oh,
that's
nice.
yeah. Fingers crossed, we'll see. But
See,
everyone just get their venues booked, and then we've got to find somewhere to stay, and then
I'm in the student accommodation, so I'll
oh
be.
right, you've already
Yeah,
got
I've
to
already. Yeah,
brilliant, and okay, there's student
but I'll
accommodation.
plug that at the end
Yeah,
of
yeah, well,
what
absolutely,
I'm
we'll
doing
do that.
in
Oh, brilliant.
Edinburgh.
Well, hopefully we'll get there too. As I say, I'm just gonna have to
Yeah.
sell one of my children in order to afford.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But as you do. Yeah. Well, and I was just absolutely friends. You did mention Bringers. I mean, I guess probably for anybody who's listening to this is not a comedian in London. I mean, Bringers
yeah.
are these nights where in order to perform, you need to bring an audience member, and it is as we were maybe talking about pre-show, it's like a huge thing. Some people are very upset about them. I
Yes.
guess it rages backwards and forwards. I kind of, I mean, spent the first 2 years after the comedy course beg, borrowing, and stealing to get bringer people. Like
Yeah.
many, I think you and I we did that reciprocal exchange
Yep.
bringer thing. I think we were at Dave Lynch's
Yes. Yeah, it was
Quintessential
quintessential. Yeah. I miss
outside.
quintessential.
And I mean it's interesting, like because I think there's the upside to bringers is like I met people like you and.
Yeah.
That was great, and like you were talking about, I think you did, with Lexi Manchester
Literally.
and so
Yeah.
on, and uh,
Candace, my best friend, or who I consider one of my best friends. I met
brilliant.
her through a bringer scheme.
Yeah, and I think obviously it's frustrating when you're starting out that like a night when you're being a bringer is a night when you're not performing. So
Yeah.
it is frustrating. And yeah, but at the same time, some of the better nights, and I kind of, it was like the Rose and Crown. I forget now the night that they used to have on a Thursday and a Sunday. I can see the logo now. I don't know if they still do it. I mean, they've got Freedom Fridge there and other things, but back
Oh, stick.
Sunday
Sunday stick.
stick,
Yeah.
which
Still
then
going.
became yeah. Is
Yeah.
that still going? Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
the I think particularly central where people could get bringers more easily, and if it was reliably policed, they could be great shows. And
Yes.
the people saying so for our nights that we run as Hilarity Unlimited, Sunset and Cracker now the new one Studio 48. I got sick of trying to police the and all of the flack that you got about it, and I
Yeah.
put them to non-bringers, but yeah, I don't know. It's anyway. I guess
I
we're on the like. Do you have any strong feelings for or against the bringers having?
I do, and I'm probably going to get flack for this. I do think they are a little bit, if you are on the London scene, they are a bit of a penance that you do them until you are good enough not
Right.
to have to do them, until the night
Mm,
itself is confident that you um yeah, you're going to bring something good to the show that
right.
isn't. So and you don't have to bring an audience member. I
Right.
mean, I know that's going to be a hot take because I think a lot of people, I do get how frustrating it can be when you are just trying to start out. And I do think there should be more nights that are an easier vehicle for um people who are starting out to start out and have an audience. the problem is that that's the key is the having in the audience. And the the best way to get an audience is to promote. And not enough people want to do that legwork, including me. Like
Mm,
I'm not gonna.
mm.
I could sit here and be like, oh yeah, this is the way you should do a comedy night, and then I'll never run one because it's so much work to actually get an audience in. I find it hard enough to do it for my own shows,
Yeah.
and literally the only person that gets disappointed in that is me. Um,
Yes, yeah. Well, it's a weird because, and that's what I was sort of saying on Facebook today. And but I mean, I've tried quite hard to promote
yeah,
our nights in terms of spending money on leaflet drops, on spending money on different schemes with like meetup.com or different, and loads of
yes,
people have told me, oh, do this thing and do this thing with meetup groups or do this thing with
yeah,
what are they called? Is it called Dash? I've forgotten.
yeah,
Anyway, but we keep on trying loads of different things, and I have yet to crack any reliable way of getting audience in. I mean,
yeah.
on my post when I was sort of saying that, somebody replied saying, "Oh, putting on nights is a piece of piss," and it's just
Yes,
like
I saw that, and I was like,
it's kind of
okay,
like, well, one, share your secret, or I'm
yes.
not sure if I really want to go to your night.
Yes, I thought exactly that. I'm like,
um,
okay, I'm sure your night is amazing. But the nights I know that are successful that don't rely heavily on bringers,
mm,
they tend to be central, very
right.
central. They tend to
Yeah.
be King's Cross, Camden,
Yeah.
that kind of area. They tend to be one of the first things on Google when people
Right.
Google free comedy, and that's another a lot of things. A lot of the times they're free,
Yeah.
um, and like it is the best way to have a night is to be it on a day when people want to go see comedy, usually the end of the week.
Yeah.
Um, it has centrally located where people will go, and so I don't I but that the problem is then that means comedy gets very centralized. It gets very like you need to be in the middle of London and you can only ever do comedy in Zone 1. And a Zone 1 audience is not the same as Harrow or Milton Keynes or
Mm,
like
mm, mm.
they're completely different. I did a gig the other night to a group of bikers
Oh yeah.
and I've never had an experience quite like it. I was being heckled every 5 seconds. It wasn't just me.
Sure.
They clearly felt they were the funnier than any of the comedy acts that had been on. Um, and but it was just a kind of thing of like, yeah, no London open mic could train you for what
Right. Right.
what can happen on an outskirts gig. And yeah, it's just hard to get those kind of audiences in the outskirts
Yeah.
unless it's like something like a biker gathering.
Yeah. Well, then there's the importance of doing lots of different things. It's partly why I sort of stepped back from
Mm.
both my Watford and Harrow things, and I'm now going out and trying to do other stuff. But it's
Yes.
interesting. You also mentioned like your own shows. I mean, that's the I was really excited at Leicester Comedy Festival. Was it not this weekend, but the weekend before? I actually, with an end promotion, I spent money on
Yes.
Instagram promotion and different bits and pieces. And I think the poster was one that kind of like maybe worked
Yeah.
this year. But I managed to get like 20 plus people in
That's
each of my
amazing.
three shows, and it wasn't that it didn't fill the room, but it was kind of like,
No,
wow.
20 people. I was happy when I had five in Edinburgh, if
Yeah,
I'm
no, I
absolutely
don't. Yeah, yeah.
honest.
Well, I mean, I'll be lucky. Don't think. Well, who knows what happened at Edinburgh this year? But yeah, I mean, that was just a real treat to be performing to 20 plus people who were none of them were comedians,
Yeah.
And it's I realize that I can only really make comedians laugh and not normal people. So that's well, it's great feedback. We should. I really interested just to hear a bit more about yeah. So like we were doing that bringer sandwich, right? So
Yeah.
we delved into all of the details of the like the early years, and then there was sort of the bringer, and now, and you've stepped up several levels since then. I mean, do you want to
Yeah.
give us a just quick potted summary of the last 3 years of how it's all going at the moment?
I will try to be as quick, as succinct as I can be. It's been going really quite well. I so in 2022 I gained momentum. I made friends. Friends started to do their own shows, and encouraged me also to do higher stakes gigs. That's things like gong shows. Um, the first time I did a gong show, I absolutely died on my ass. Um, but then the biggest kind of turnover for me was in 2024. I went to Manchester to meet a boy, and uh, I thought, oh, while I'm here, I might as well
Sure.
do uh, Beat the Frog.
Beat the frog, yeah, yeah.
And I kind of went in there a bit nonchalant, being like, well, I've already come here for a purpose that's outside of this, so I
Ah,
don't need to.
cunning.
Something in me psychologically was not quite as putting much stakes or weight in it. And that night I absolutely smashed it. And I know, no, I'm trying to be more because I every time I have an accomplishment, I kind of want to then instantly downplay it and go, no, 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 but I got lucky because stuff.
That's great. Difficult
But
gig. Go on.
but that gig made a massive difference because like and like the other night I went to a gig and someone said, "Oh, I was at your Beat the Frog," and that happened two
Ooh,
years ago. So clearly
wonderful.
that night had some sort of impact
Mm.
on the scene, not just me. But I mean, it mostly helped me because then I had this amazing video with like me absolutely killing it in 4K
Brilliant.
that I could send to clubs. I sent to the BBC. The BBC shortlisted me. And I that was a competition I tried multiple times and never got anything.
Mm.
So that was a big boost.
Brilliant.
And it just also meant that I was getting taken a little bit more legitimately.
Hmm.
But it was also a turning point for me because that was when I started to work out what my thing was, my
Mm.
voice.
Hmm. Hmm.
For a couple of years I'd known that I was quite cynical, that I was a little bit misanthropic, but I couldn't quite work out how to translate that to audiences. Because when I go on stage, I'm this short, chubby ginger girl, um, and I dress quite femininely.
Mm.
So I think people look at me and they go, "Oh, she's quite sweet," and then I will come out with some absolute filth. Um,
Sarah Millican-esque, I would say.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. There is a bit of a Sarah Millican thing to it. Hers is a little bit more like she seems like she's the normal person in the office, and then she'll say something completely unhinged.
Mm.
I seem like I'm like the sweet primary school teacher, and then I've said things like I'm the alpha in here, and
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
undermined every other female. No, not female. Every other male comedian. I tend not to target the female comedians because um we're all in the same boat. But I that night changed things for me
Brilliant.
massively. And yeah, since then I've had a bit more confidence doing competitions. They're
Yeah.
a hit and a miss. Um,
Yeah, I've never, I've,
they're not everything. I really want to like emphasize.
mm,
I don't feel like like some people are really successful without ever having done a
right.
competition or wanting to do a competition because they don't necessarily they're for the industry more than they are for the
Mm,
comedian, and
mm,
they're for the widest possible audience rather
mm,
than someone find your audience. So I'd say like one of my favorite comedians is Nick Helm. And I
hmm.
don't think Nick Helm famously bombed on the Apollo. But that doesn't mean that Nick Helm isn't a fantastic comedian.
Right,
He
right.
is. He's just got his audience.
Yes, yes. Well, that gives me hope because I have really struggled with gong shows. I think I just like my level of nerves goes up too high, and
Yes.
I'm kind of yeah. I mean, all of the. I mean, I've never been in like sort of a proper competition. I mean, I always it's been in those kind of like open mic gigs where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
we're
They
gonna
have
have
a
a clap
comp.
off for who gets the
Yeah.
trophy at the end, and I've never, ever, ever, ever won any of them, and it's not. Let's move on. No, but like
They give you a
what
false sense of superiority, in my experience.
I mean,
They really, really do.
I remember at shooting stars actually Nick Everett, who is I'm a big fan of,
Yes, fantastic.
and he was saying, and he often give out these awards, and he'd say, 7 years, 10 years in, you'll find out that's not what it's all about. Which
Yeah.
I mean, I think it can be a real. I mean, I think as Adam Dorr won one more
Yes,
more
West
major
End.
competition, and then got a place in Edinburgh, and I think that's really. I think it can be a great boost for the
Yeah.
people who win them. I mean, yeah, but that's sort of I think for me, I don't know what strange thing that I'm doing where I'm not very good in very, very high pressure
Yeah.
well, like the competition or the gong show, but yeah, like the idea that I can get my own audience like going to these festivals seems like a much more fun
Yeah.
process
Yeah.
all
It,
round,
it
really.
definitely is, and I definitely last year pursued that line. It is expensive, and that's the big.
Yeah.
If you've got the disposable income and the time, it's a great thing to do.
Mm.
But it is annoyingly becoming very difficult if you don't have that. Which is what I I always kind of I tried to vocalize with my show because
Right.
I did a show last year called Should Statements, a show brought to you by a little inherited wealth.
Uh-huh.
Um, And the point of that show was that my uncle passed away, left me £20,000. I
Mm.
finally had money to do Edinburgh, but I felt very strange about it. And
Mm.
I felt like, well, did I want him to die so I could have these opportunities? Not really. I'd rather he was alive.
Mm.
And
Mm.
also that well, now I can fund myself. But
Yes.
um, the funding is so extortionate and so like, can I justify this big an expense? Um, Full disclosure, I'm still using that money to do Edinburgh again.
Mm. Mm.
So it got me actually two Edinburghs, not just one.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
But
Well, yeah.
yeah, I could have. One thing I could have done is I could have given it to a much bigger venue. I could have given all my money to a much bigger venue,
Right.
made myself seem more important than I
Mm.
was. But I didn't do that because of all this internal conflict, and also just because it didn't feel like the spirit of Fringe.
Mm. Mm.
Um,
I mean,
so
yeah, it's by hook or by crook. I mean, I think, I mean, this is that's also part of that whole bringer thing. And I think, one person was saying, oh, bringers are a way of excluding low income people. And it's kind of like, I'm not sure that, but I mean, I think there are all sorts of barriers that, like, for example,
yes,
I mean, all the places that I've run comedy gigs, none of them have been properly accessible. And I hate that.
yes,
Like, I hate
yes.
that. I want them to be accessible, but I'm kind of like, do I not do a gig at all
Yeah,
because the only venues that I've found so far that have offered us a place have been inaccessible? Like, I don't know. It's a real conundrum. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to try
yeah,
and go to Edinburgh this year and discover how much it costs. But like, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it's a tricky. But I think, I mean, this is the thing that I was saying in my bring up about post today is I think whatever the obstacles, right? Bottom line, and I'm mirroring sort of something that Stuart Goldsmith says. Is this like, he says, like, jealous of someone else's achievement? Write more jokes.
yeah.
Annoyed about the way the gig went? Write more
More
jokes.
jokes.
Like,
Yeah,
bottom line is, all of that energy that you're putting into complaining about this, that, and the other, you could be funneling that
yeah.
into being undeniable, as they say.
Absolutely. And I've done that. I've gone when I've been jealous of someone, I was like, well, did you write a did you have a stronger five? Did you test your five and work out what they want? If you want that, then you have to go and try and do it. And yeah, I
Oh,
don't want to be misunderstood there. Uh, I'm not saying like just write a better because it can be hard. But
well, it
um
is, and people face all sorts of different obstacles, and then there's an extent to which everybody has different levels of privilege, and
yeah.
and we're not like trying to
Oh yeah.
downplay the difficulties that people are being faced in their lives, but there's this interesting like it's kind of like, does the world owe you comedy success?
No.
And I think for nobody is
Yeah.
that the case, do they? No one
Yes.
is
I
owed comedy success.
I
Comedy
completely
success
agree.
should come through you being committed to it and putting in the hours. Now, I mean, and absolutely, if your life is difficult and hard, then like maybe there's a grant from, like, I don't know, some comedy
Yeah.
society that says, like, it helps you for base. And I think there are those sorts of things
Yeah, I've
in some
applied
cases, and
to
perhaps
Edinburgh.
there should be more. But the bottom line is, like, I think you can't escape the heart. I mean, although I feel quite pleased, I feel like I've got a rant about bringers that I can now do as part of the next
Yeah.
MC set at Studio 48. So anyway, we'll see how that goes down. But it's such a great conversation. We've hardly got to any of the questions. I've
I
just
know, I'm so sorry.
but don't be sorry at all. It's brilliant podcast and comedy gold, I would say. Shall we, like, take a stab at, now that we've caught up, technology and how it
Yeah.
affects your life and comedy, which is one of the three themes of the podcast.
Yeah.
And I asked that partly because I'm really interested in how you manage your life and your comedy process, but also any form of technology that's whether it's recording and listening back to your gigs, or talking to an AI model, or just like you
Yeah.
write everything down in a stone tablet. How is technology affecting your life and comedy?
It's a hit and miss. There are definitely the benefits. The biggest benefit is I write all my jokes on my mobile notes.
Mm.
So having the computer right next to me all the time means that when I think of something very stupid, it goes in my phone. I've been on the toilet. I've been it usually comes on the toilet. I don't know, like 99% of my jokes are written on the toilet. Um
Which
uh
is great. I mean, I wish I try and write on the toilet. I often find myself being distracted by social media, which is the real but.
I don't go on my phone. It's the one time I don't go on my phone is when I'm on the toilet.
Oh, so but like you say mobile
So I think
notes.
my yeah.
Is
So I'll wash my hands and then I'll go to my phone and be like, right.
also like you're kind of like in the
Yeah,
okay, right, got you, got you. It's but you're
yeah,
kind of I was confused there because you say mobile notes. That's just like the notes app on your phone. But
yeah,
you're saying that you very carefully won't go on social media when you're in the bathroom. Is
yeah,
that okay? That's a
yeah,
rule. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I should
yeah,
really follow that, shouldn't I? God damn it. Okay.
yeah. No,
Okay. Tip one to be as famous and as funny as Lizzie, I should. Right. Okay. But please go on. Anything else that
um,
you're doing that helps?
yeah. I record every single gig I do. I either audio or video. I like to watch back because I've I try to work on my uh body language. It can. I don't know. The body language is a difficult thing for me because it's very subconscious and sometimes it gives away when I'm nervous. My body gives away when I'm nervous more
Mm,
than my voice does.
hmm.
And so I've been trying to work on that, but I ended up clearly doing that too much because I got a review that said my body language was weird and I was very static.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, well, that's something I've tried to work on. And probably overcorrected.
Hmm.
So that's one thing way that technology helps, but it can have a little bit of a curse. I don't use AI. I have problems with generative AI, um, because I see too many people trying to make it replace what is the best part of comedy, which is the creative process and the thinking of new ideas.
Hmm.
Um, maybe it could help me in places, but I'm not interested. I like the muscle of using my brain,
Mm.
and so without getting too much into it, I don't want to get too down the spiral of AI because I have strong opinions about it.
Mm.
I will say that social media is and the algorithm itself is a technology that I have used. Um, I've seen, I'm one of these people who really struggles to put their phone down.
Mm.
I am online chronically,
Hmm.
and so I see what people are talking about. I see what does well, and one of the things I've noticed about the algorithm is the best thing to do if you want to be big on social media is to find a joke and to keep doing it and to keep doing it
Oh,
over and over and over again,
okay.
which for me does not allow for the most creative freedom. I don't like that. I have seen
Mm.
the algorithm try to. I did a sketch. I enjoyed making a sketch. It was a very silly sketch, and it was the only time that the algorithm ever rewarded me. And I thought clearly what it wants me to do is just keep making this sketch idea over and over again, and I just refused.
Okay.
So it's a blessing and a curse in a way.
Mm.
Um, Sometimes technology has been very useful, and sometimes it's made me it's made me despair.
Yeah, it is such a I mean, I'm really coming the sort of the algorithm.
Yeah.
It is basically it's so similar to the things of my youth, such as cigarettes and gambling machines and so
Yes.
on, that have this kind of like intermittent payout, or and it's hooking into some aspect, and
Yes.
it can like bind really
Dopamine.
tight, and yeah, it can be so addictive. And I mean, I really like what you're saying about the brain muscle. I mean, I'm an AI engineer. Boo, hiss, him.
It depends what you're doing and if you're doing it for good or evil.
Well, quite probably I'm doing it's all wrong. Like my comedy, it's very they're like stop, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's funny actually. People often say I get this a lot in virtual reality. I often say something which is inappropriate, and then people say Jesus or God, and so I have this whole series of like comebacks that are based on saying yes, a lot of people do think of me as Jesus. I do look like him if you'd gone to Hogwarts and never graduated, and so it happens frequently enough that I have like tags based on people like basically
Yeah.
taking the Lord's name in vain on the basis of just how wrong my comedy is, and the same in my work. But the thing that I think you're absolutely right. Like it would be a crying shame for any of us, any individual, for us as a society, if that creative process, if the actual coming up with the joke was completely replaced with AI. The thing that I'm excited about is about understanding how comedy works. And for me, I set myself the challenge: can I make the thing reliably tell jokes, not so that I can not create them myself, but like if I can understand the logic of the joke creation process
Right.
well
Is
enough,
there a formula?
like
Is there a
the form aspects of the formula, the process of kind of like trying to teach the machine to be funny will actually help me be funny is
yeah.
a kind of I mean, it's for me, it's and it's partly what I do the podcast and all the different things. Is I'm just I'm so curious to understand how it all works. But yeah, absolutely. You kind of. I mean, it's funny though. I was just talking to my kids over supper, and we're talking about like AI and different good and bad things and this and that and the other. And there was like obviously for many people they're like, we wanted the AI to do the dishes. Why is it now doing the drawings and the paintings
Yeah.
for us and what have you? Which is like, I guess there's an interesting thing for those people who never had any talent with drawing and painting, but they've got a really like vivid imagination. Um, and they can now describe the things that they want, and they can kind of make a kind of art on top of the AI. And some people will say, well, that's completely wrong. But there's also like an empowerment thing. And I guess, I don't know, there might be people who are like absolutely dying to do stand-up comedy. I mean, of course, the famous comedians, they pay some people to
Yeah.
write in their voice. And I
Yeah.
guess there's a kind of leveling thing of if you could have an AI on a very cheap subscription that understood your comedic voice perfectly well and could occasionally suggest things in the way that human writers do for the famous comedians, perhaps that would be kind of a leveler of the playing field. I don't know. I'm just thinking that out loud right now. Maybe I'm just wrong, like my comedy.
I'm just my natural instinct is go no. Like I'm very old school hostile to, and I think it is because it is this new technology that I don't always fully understand. But I don't know, I'm conflict. There are moments I have of conflict. One thing I enjoy a lot is I watch a lot of streamers who
Mm,
what one who knows how to he programs,
mm,
and he programs an AI with his own voice, and he gets his chat to prompt the AI, and there are so many things that happen that are unintentionally funny
mm,
that the AI is not trying to do. So I
mm-hmm.
do find like sometimes utilizing the AI as a tool can be, and that kind of serendipitous stuff that you can't control is the funny bit. So I guess that's where my issue comes with you relying on an AI to come up with something, because I feel
Mm.
like it would be derivative. It would be based on
Yeah,
data that's been put in, where
yeah.
I think the true art and the true humanity, like humanity, comes from what you can't predict, which an AI
Yes.
could do, but it's the human ultimately that's going, oh, the AI lost its mind, is spiraling and is screaming. That's
Yes.
funny. Um,
Yes.
and yeah, so that's I'm not gonna I don't want to get too on a soapbox and be too like AI is always wrong. There are times where I look at some stuff on online and on Twitter and threads, and I think that's slop. It looks awful. It has no heart, no soul. Um, but I can understand that for some people it is like they have these ideas and they want to put them out. It's just for me as an artist, and I'm gonna call myself an artist because I'm
Artist, work. Go
pretending.
on. Go.
Yeah.
You go, girl.
Um, the ideas are the easy part. The hard part is the execution. And like, oh, so yeah, so we have enough ideas. We need we need people who can execute them. And if you can't execute themselves, network, meet people, collaborate. I know yeah, I'm trying not to be too like, just go out there and do this, because it can be so hard. It can be so demoralizing. It can be so scary to put yourself out there. I really get that, but it's so much better when you do. And I say this as someone who 10 years ago did their first stand-up set. That doesn't mean I've been doing stand-up 10 years. I'm gonna really hammer home. Does not mean I've been doing stand-up 10 years. I have
Yeah,
not.
no, no. Well, I think it's all brilliant, and what I'm hearing here is a clear message that AI is always wrong, and that's just like
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I meant. And I've never used it ever.
no, and I'm like, but I love that. I mean, it's kind of like, well, I mean, you couched it all with all sorts of brilliant, insights and ideas and so on. I mean, I think that and this is the thing that I love about the fact that I'm doing comedy now is the connections that I make with all sorts of people that I would never have
Mm,
made connections with, and
yeah.
it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, in a strange sort of sci-fi way, think that the AI may get to a point where it is somehow human and then beyond human, and then there's like who knows what's going to happen. It's going to be really
Yeah,
strange. It's
it's
well,
terrifying. I don't like the unknown, so
no,
that's why I'm like, no, I'm terrified. But
particularly from the outside. I mean, I'm sort of kind of
you understand
inside.
it more. Yeah.
Right. I mean, not there are people who are so much further ahead than me, but I've kind of it's sort of stuff that I've been working with all my life. So it's perhaps less bamboozling than for if it's just like from the outside, like what's this strange? And it is. I mean, I think it is like it is a very very strange situation if something that is of kind of like a superhuman intelligence becomes the property of a particular company, and then
Yeah.
like I mean, there's all sorts of. I mean, in some ways. I'm more worried about the people than I am about the AI,
The
but I'm also
real evil is capitalism.
the AI has been like, what's this? Oh,
Yeah.
I was really shocked there. I thought that was like somebody intruding into the. That was very well done. That was very well. You completely had me there. It's oh gosh, no, it's great. Um, there was a thing I was going to say, but it's like I mean, I'm also because I like I'm say yeah, I think the I just sort of repeat myself. Well, I at the moment I do this thing that Callum McKenzie had suggested, which he got from a course, which is like trying to write 10 jokes a day, and jokes is a strong word.
Oh,
But
wow.
what
I
I've
mean,
noticed
Callum
recently,
has so much
oh, it's
under
great,
his belt.
brilliant, and I wonder, do you have with the writing? Did you? I mean,
Yeah.
as I said before, like what I'm finding now after almost a year of writing 10 pieces of crap jokes a day is
Mm.
that now every phrase that I hear, like you just talked about there, it's like the ideas are easy and the execution is hard. And I immediately turned like the punchline would be like, yeah, like getting the trigger to his, get the gun to his head is really difficult. And everything that
Mm.
I hear now, I'm always thinking, how can I flip it? How can I flip it? How can I flip it? And I can see now the real value of this the 10 jokes ten jokes a day is just getting my brain into that
Yeah.
comedy mode. And I wondered, do you have anything do you have a writing schedule, like a practice? Is it all just ad hoc? Which is, and don't, I mean, 'cause I remember, I noticed asking other people and they're kind of like, oh, I should be doing more. I don't mean to put it in that way. I'm just sort
Yeah.
of interested in how it works for you. If it is ad hoc and it's working, fantastic. I mean, it is working, it's fucking funny. The, but can you describe any more about your comedy process about how you take kind of from an idea then into something that's going to be a staple of what you use on stage?
Yeah. I'm not very disciplined in that way. I couldn't bring myself to try to write 10 jokes because I would just be going, as soon as I wrote down one, I'd be going, that's awful, put it away, burn it.
Right,
I'm
right.
so my problem is my process is very cutthroat. It's very like um I don't I want a joke to be perfect off the bat, which isn't the best mentality to
Mm,
have because
mm.
you become a perfectionist and you so my process has generally been that like I wait till I have a source of inspiration. I wait till just a something comes through my head. Um and it will be through the silliest things. Um so like I have a joke that's I say well known around the scene. Um I have a joke about the green M&M
Oh yeah, yeah,
being sexually very
uh,
yeah,
yeah. I'm
and
laughing
I'm
just
jealous
remembering
of
it.
her.
Yes,
And
yes.
what that the reason that joke came about was because a friend of mine sent a picture of green M&M plushie with a flashlight in it. It's really it was really really grim, really horrible. And I looked at that picture and I thought men would really rather have this green M&M than ever like talk to actual women. And that kind of weird sense of anger and righteousness suddenly like was like, wait, that's funny that I feel jealous of an M&M. So I just tweeted, what does that M&M bitch have that I don't?
Right, right.
And that was all it was. For ages, it was just a tweet. And then I just kind of thought, hang on a minute, there's so much to this. There's so much to unpack
Mm.
in this
Mm-hmm.
idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so then as I started unpacking it and like looking at my own internalized misogyny, my own like feelings of inadequacy, that like it became this kind of fountain of a much bigger idea. And just from a very silly thing that happened in my life. So it's not the best process. It's not the most lucrative because I have to wait for something to happen for like, I like for um to be riffing with my friends, or to be like just observing something on the internet, or and then I also have to ask myself, like, do people know about this? Like, do
Mm,
you have you guys heard about this? Have you know about this? Like, is this too niche an idea? Because I've been recently kind of reverting to my 14-year-old self and getting really into fan fiction and
mm,
like certain fandoms and communities. And so I have all these kind of niche ideas and jokes for these communities, and then I have to go, yeah, Lizzie, if you talk about that, no one's gonna know what the
yeah.
hell you're talking about.
Mm,
That would only work on like that specific Reddit or Tumblr or something.
mm,
Um, and that has been a thing for my life of I've taken things from a niche and then been like, right, how can I present this to other people,
mm,
or people who have no idea, and see the funny side of it. And it's hit and miss. Like some things I'm like, that's hilarious. Everyone's gonna think that's funny. Um, and they don't. And then there are some things where I completely dismiss them, or I just say a phrase in a funny way, something
mm,
that is not even a joke. Like
mm,
one thing that gets laughed at when I do stage, if I say the word rotund, people like I describe myself as rotund, and people find that funny.
mm, mm.
Even to me, that's just a descriptor. But I'm like, and it's jumping on that. It's going, oh, okay, use the word rotund, because a laugh is a laugh. Like it
Sure.
doesn't matter if it's you weren't that wasn't your intention. And it's finding more of those moments, but that's why I work stuff out so much more on stage than I do in my own time, and I hate that. I wish I could sit down and write and just work out what the problem is on just writing. I used to do that more, but there's nothing quite like going to a club, like going to an open mic, trying something, seeing what works to get it in shape.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Brilliant.
and
Go on.
and that's the hard part, because not everybody has access to that, I think.
No. Yes. It is it's very difficult to, yeah,
Yeah,
you kind of, people, I guess, like who play the guitar,
yeah,
if you're lucky to have access to a guitar, you can play the guitar, play the guitar, play the
yeah. You
guitar.
can
I
keep playing
mean,
until you're better.
and there's, well, I guess it'd be interesting to speak to a guitarist who, like, I guess there's still an extent to which you don't really know how well your song is going to hit people until you're playing it to people. I guess it's
Yes.
maybe, I mean, maybe you can practice. Maybe I should be practicing speaking clearly and slowly enough for people to understand what I'm saying. That would be good if I could get down that basics, which is I guess the equivalent of like learning the
Me
scales and the
too.
chords and so on. It's all of it, But I'm like, I'm trying to make the incredibly fast talking with the slurred words. That's my voice. And then if I make
Yeah,
that my voice, that's well anyway. But
there's a market for that.
I hope so. Target them. Got to find them. Brain on guitar, the thing. Another. Yeah, I was saying your stuff. The approach you're describing. It sounds like homegrown, grown organic jokes. You see, is
Yes.
you're not factory farming the jokes. Not like Callum and me with our big like like rows and rows of chickens going. You're kind of like allowing them to kind of like ferment slowly without chemicals.
Yeah. It is quality over quantity, I suppose. But then at the same time, uh, I you I'm always astounded by how many quality jokes Callum can come up with. And he'll just have like a whole bunch that he's just written, and I'm like, fuck's sake. I wish I had more, because I do tend to find myself doing the same jokes over and over again because I want something reliable, and I get bored. And so now what I implement is if I've got, even if it's quite a high stakes gig, I go put in a new joke.
Oh yeah.
Just so that then you feel like you've done something different. And it was funny, I did that the other night with a 10, and it was so obvious which one was the new joke. It absolutely died. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe not
Yes.
that one.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing with Callum's got an amazing work ethic,
yeah,
and I think that not the 10 joke a day thing works for everyone. I mean, I think, but what's his name? Jimmy Carr talks about it. I mean, he talks about writing 1,000 jokes to get one good one, and I can sort of see what he means now. In that I've
yeah,
written maybe like it's in the order of like 3 or 4 thousand jokes. Like, and they're slop. I mean, AI slop is better than my like sort of forced out. But
I disagree.
oh
That's where our ethos is different. I would say any authentic is better.
you haven't seen a lot of my jokes, but occasionally, like so occasionally some slightly better things will come out, and then I think there's also like it's sort of a brain training thing of doing that. But it doesn't have to be that. I'll just call back to Hannah Lloyd Davies, who was on the show and talking about
Yes,
doing
I
morning
love Hannah.
pages. And I think that there's something about, even just like creating a space where you can have a regular time in your day where you can be writing, and absolutely in some ways making it a low pressure one in which there's no pressure to come up with something funny
Yeah.
is a great way of like sort of taking off the
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah, it's
I might try it. I might try and see if I can come up with something.
yeah.
Or I wouldn't do 10 because that would
Oh no, no, no. Well, I
exhaust
think
me, but
it's just sometimes it's just about having a writing like a writing routine
yeah,
that's even not. It's just saying like I'm going to take one of my existing jokes and I'm just going to play with it for 5 minutes or
yeah,
anyway. What do
yeah,
I know? I mean, I guess I like the time has rushed on, and I guess
yeah.
I'm sort of thinking rather than rushing through the next three questions, maybe we should just have you on again for another episode. Like later in the year to do
We
because
can
that's I mean
talk.
we have done that with it's been a while since we've had such a running. I mean and it's I'm also thinking about getting my beauty sleep, which because this
Oh
doesn't
yeah, yeah.
happen, what do you think? Is that okay? Well, should
That's
we should
absolutely
we
that's
yeah
absolutely fine. I've always wanted to go on a podcast. So
yay
I tried to put everything that I'd ever wanted to say
that's
about
great
comedy
no
in
and
one
I
go. And
and
it's
I've and
yeah.
I've really enjoyed getting into it and as I've said to the guests I mean the questions are less important than they're just a scaffold to have a
Yeah.
nice conversation which and I've really been enjoying the conversation and I'm kind of like I'm just thinking oh we've got these three questions and I'm really interested to put them to you and I don't want to rush through them
Yeah.
to get to sleep it would be great to have you on again
Yeah.
possibly after you've done the Edinburgh show this summer we could hear all about the show and how
Yeah.
Edinburgh was and then the other questions but
That'd be
so
great.
to that end, shall we jump into promoting your stuff and where people can find
Yes.
you online and where they should be going to see your comedy?
Yes. So the main way to see me is on at Lizzie the Simp on Instagram. Uh, I will be doing a work in progress as of today. I learned at the Queer Comedy Club on the 3rd of May. So that's for the show that I will be ultimately taking to Edinburgh. That show's called Just Be Confident Loser. It's a work in progress show that I want to develop into my debut, and it's all about how people tell me I should be more confident, and I don't think that's helpful advice. And it's most so, and there's going to be some funny stuff in there as well.
Brilliant.
But yeah, and that's mainly what's going to be going on with me. Oh, I'll also be doing a split bill with my friend Candice Bryan, who is also is a fantastic comedian at Edinburgh. That'll be called Honkers. We're really excited to bring that to you. And yeah. I think that's the main stuff. But I will, if you're ever at a comedy gig in the southeast or London, I might be there.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Wonderful. Well, thanks everyone. And remember, you can help support comedians on technology, people, and drugs by going to our Facebook group and commenting or asking questions there. I mean, like join the Facebook group and then or Spotify. Do that. Follow us there. Apparently, the algorithm really loves you following us on Spotify, and we'd love we could hear comments or questions there. I think we haven't actually had anybody comment. Lots of people have said to me. I mean, when they were trying to angle for a gig, maybe, but have said to me that they love the podcast, and but we'd love to get that conversation going and get the stuff going up the rankings. So please, anyway, or just come and speak to Lizzie or myself in person. Whatever. But we really look forward to being in your ears again soon. Claire was just the one listener. We really appreciate your time. Finally, last word to our fantastic guest before the part two will come later in the year. Last word to our fantastic guest, Lizzie Simpson.
Death comes for all.